On the Fringe with Dan radio style. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. We are in the midst of the biggest push to try to remove our First Amendment rights, and the deep state's going hardcore, deep into trying to shut us down, shut down the idea of free speech, trying to make the free speech the thing that's actually the enemy. But what's funny is in their argument for why they need to take down free speech, they illustrate their corruption at the same time. You see, it's funny, they want to be the ones that tell us what's true and what's not true. They don't want us figuring it out and being able to talk about it freely and openly. So they want us to shut the hell up so they can own the conversation like they have for so long before. But they don't anymore. They're not going to anymore. And this is a big part of the information war that we're all fighting. So hopefully you guys are geared up, or girded up, as many would say. Get your loins girded, and we shall get underway. Got some good stuff to talk about today, and some interesting things all the way across the board. I wanted to start here. Donald Trump put a truth out for us with a wonderful little prayer on it. Saint Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our defense against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly hosts, by the power of God, cast into hell Satan and all the evil spirits who prowl about the world seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. Agree with that 100%. Here's another great image to start with. Donald Trump Jr. put this one out there. Republicans plus Democrats. So Donald Trump holding a MAGA baseball bat, or a baseball bat with MAGA on it. And of course, standing right next to RFK Jr. with a baseball bat that says Maha, make America healthy again. United against evil. And this is one of the most beautiful times in history. We literally are coming together. Yeah, there's people here and there. Yeah, the media is still making it sound like there's a lot going on. And folks, I want to remind you, this is something I see on a regular basis, and I never share or rarely share it. And one of the things I see the most of is people actually reporting what the deep state news keeps saying. Now, a lot of the times these people are like, I can't believe they're saying this. I can't believe they're saying this. But here's the thing that most content creators don't seem to understand, and I wish to God you guys would figure it out soon. Every time you put one of those stupid news channels out there with the hope of demonstrating how it's stupid, you're giving them a voice. We are destroying their voice, yet so many of the content creators keep putting their information out there because it's so ridiculous. But don't. Ignore them. Talk about the things that we're doing. Talk about the direction we're heading. Don't talk about the stupid stuff that the deep state keeps saying about Donald Trump. Who cares? There's like 5 people that see it. But when you share it, now there's 5,000 people that see it. That's the problem. Stop it. Good God, people. Stop sharing what the deep state says. You're giving them the voice. The deep state has no voice by themselves. That's why they're bitching and complaining, by the way, because we're doing such a phenomenal job. I think this is just a friggin' funny-ass magic trick. Don't know what all he did. I mean, it's video, so who knows? But pretty damn funny. Check this out.
So this is my favorite packet trick I've ever come up with. I call it the Gmail card trick. Let's have a look. So I have 5 cards over here with some letters that spell a word. G, M, A, I, and L. What does that spell?
Gmail.
Gmail, very good. But if I snap my fingers, suddenly the letters change to spell a different word. What does this spell?
Ligma.
Ligma? Have you ever heard of Ligma?
No.
No? Do you know what Ligma is?
What's Ligma?
What's Ligma, you ask? Ligma balls.
That's so awesome.
So
awesome. I'm sorry, that's wrong on many levels, and that's what makes it so right. Because if that's wrong, then I don't want to be right. Yeah, exactly. All right, here's where we get into it. Deep State wants to control the narrative. Deep State wants us to believe them. Deep State wants us to go and listen to what the media says. Deep State wants us to trust them because they're the ones that are telling us the truth. And all these nut job MAGA extremists such as myself running around saying all these crazy, horrible, wrong, racist, misogynist, I don't know, whatever crazy stuff is that they want to call us. Right? We're the ones that are saying all the wild, crazy stuff. But what's funny, just a quick little reminder down memory lane, they locked us up during COVID, which was actually, in hindsight, the worst possible thing they could have done. And now they're starting to realize that and call it out, which is funny. So former British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has blatantly admitted that he is not sure if the draconian lockdown measures imposed on the nation by his government during the Chinese coronavirus were effective in stemming the tide of the illness. In an excerpt of his upcoming memoirs published by the Daily Mail, Mr. Johnson appears to have admitted to being swept up in the panic of the Wuhan virus, sensationally revealing that he considered a literal invasion of the Netherlands to obtain COVID vaccines being blocked by the EU. These are the same people that are telling us we've got to listen to the experts, that we've got to listen to them, that they're the ones that have the honesty, that they're the ones that have the truth. They would have kept us locked down forever. They would have forced every single one of us to get that jab that's done a lot of interesting damage to many, many people. That's what they want us to do. They want us to listen to them. They're the ones with the answers. Here is literally the perfect example of it. Now, again, this is one of those things where they say you shouldn't listen to those people over there. You should listen to us. And he spells it out. John Kerry spells it out. If you read between the lines and listen between the lines and listen with your open mind, you'll be like, holy crap, they're literally saying this to us, that they have to control the narrative, that there's no other way to do this. And then at the very end, he talks about if we can win the election, then we can get people in place that can bring about change. And what he means is to take away our First Amendment rights.
And I think the dislike of and anguish over social media is just growing and growing and growing. And it's part of our problem, particularly in democracies, in terms of building consensus around any issue. It's really hard to govern today. You can't, there's no, the referees we used to have to determine what's a fact and what isn't a fact are kind of, been eviscerated to a certain degree. And people go, and that people self-select where they go for their news or for their information. And then you just get into a vicious cycle. So it's really, really hard, much harder to build consensus today than at any time in the 45, 50 years I've been involved in this. And there's a lot of discussion now about how you curb those entities in order to guarantee that you're going to have, some accountability on facts, et cetera. But look, if people go to only one source and the source they go to is sick and, has an agenda and they're putting out disinformation, our First Amendment stands as a major block to the ability to be able to just, hammer it out of existence. So what we need is to win the ground, win the right to govern by hopefully having, winning enough votes that you're free to be able to implement change. Now, obviously, there are some people in our country who are prepared to implement change in other ways, and so that's really dangerous.
You're questioning really if democracy can survive unregulated social media.
I think democracies are very challenged right now, and have not proven they can move fast enough or big enough to deal with the challenges that we are facing. And to me, that is part of what this race, this election is all about. Will we break the fever in the United States?
You hear him saying it, right? Like, will we break the fever? Will we break the democracy? To them, once again, is the power to control. The mob rules. That's what democracy is. Again, to remind everybody, we are a constitutional republic, which means we have a constitution that gives us inalienable rights. Government's not allowed to take away those rights. It's very hard to vote them out of existence. If we were a democracy, all it would take would be 50.1% of the population to vote to take away freedom of speech, and it would be gone. And that's what they want. Right now, again, they're going back to when it was simpler times, when we had people that were the referees of truth. Well, that was the media. That was the media. Well, the media constantly lies. We've got all sorts of examples of the media lying. But that's who they want to be the arbiters of truth. The media. Not whack jobs like me. No. It's got to be the media. And that's what's funny is he's like, these people that just get their information from one source. What do you mean? You talking about like people that just watch CNN, or you're talking about people that just watch MSNBC? You talking about people that just watch ABC? The people that just watch CBS? Is that what you're talking about, John Kerry? Crazy man? That's not even close to the reality that we want to live in or are going to live in. Your days are numbered, my friend. And the day that Donald Trump ends up being president, I would go into hiding if I were you, because you will be arrested. You will be arrested, you communist traitor, you bastard. Now, back to the honest, humble truth that we keep getting from the establishment. Here's where the actual Australian media, I believe, where they actually are calling out our ridiculous media here. Because why? Because our media fucking lies constantly. John Kerry, you douchehole. Interestingly, here is a media organization, in another country that's actually telling us the truth.
Now, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz have been accused of deliberate misinformation. They've released a political ad that claims to depict two former Trump voters who live in Pennsylvania and who have switched to Team Kamala after the horrors of January 6th. But this pair of farmers shown in the ad appear to, in fact, be two actors, Robert Lang and Christina Chadwick, and they have an extensive history of kosher of donating to the Democrats and leftist causes dating back to at least 2016. For a party that talks endlessly about the dangers of disinformation and misinformation, they engage in plenty of it.
Yeah, so this is great investigative journalism by the journalists that went and found that out. I think it's another illustration of just what is a very synthetic campaign and a very synthetic candidate, where everything is manufactured, from her anointment after Biden was pushed out to just the way the campaign is being run and very limited media, as we just discussed, and then creating sort of these narratives, or almost fictional narratives, of these two Trump supporters who turned, supposedly in this case, and it turns out they're Democrat actors. You can't make this stuff up, and it's pretty brazen. But the question, of course, is will these antics make it into the mainstream or not, with a media that's very favorable to her? But to the extent that it does, I do think things like this are damaging, because it just goes to that point that she's not a very authentic candidate.
So I don't know, John, I might have misunderstood you because I think you had a penis in your mouth. But I'm wondering if this is what you're referring to when you talk about disinformation and misinformation. Is it the stuff that you guys are doing, or is it the truth that we're talking about that actually just doesn't bode well for you guys? I don't know. I get so confused all the time. Like I said, it's probably because I can't understand you because of what you got stuck inside your mouth right now. I don't know. It is what it is. Here is another example of them pointing fingers and having 3 point back at them. And it's hilarious. This is, again, it's hilarious how they're incapable of seeing their own side of this. They're incapable of seeing that what they do, when they do, like, just to make up a stupid thing, like they keep saying, you're red, you're totally red, right? And then they turn it and they're like, if Donald Trump wins, he's going to turn around and start calling everybody red. And, frankly, we can't have that. That's unacceptable, right? And after they get done calling us red over and over, again, using a stupid example just to make the point, but here's the real example.
Assistant United States attorneys, they will use the mechanisms of the Department of Justice to go after people who are their political foes. This is something that has never really happened in the history of this republic, and that is something by itself that I think should disqualify Trump for being considered for president of the United States.
No doubt it should, among many, many other things that should also disqualify.
So again, they're talking about stuff that's not true. That's where they freak out about us, because we keep calling them out on it. So yeah, never in the history has the Department of Justice gone after people. You mean the same Department of Justice since January 6th? Those same people? The ones that have been trying to take down Trump constantly? The ones that keep trying to assassinate Trump and then refuse to give him protection? Are you talking about that, DOJ? Eric Holder? Not sure exactly what you're talking about. Doesn't seem to be true. So we got catastrophic a lot of damage from this storm, by the way, and it seems to be out into a lot of the other areas outside of Florida where it initially hit. which we're going to point out something here in a second. That area that Florida hit on the Panhandle, they've been hit 3 times within a year, basically, or within a year and a half, something like that, roughly. Kind of amazing. All said, we had a catastrophic failure. Waterville Dam fails in Cocke County. It's out in Tennessee. I think they said Gatlinburg. Is that where someone told me it was? Cocke County Mayor Rob Mathis has ordered anyone downtown of Newport to evacuate immediately, adding that Walters Dam, also known as Waterville Dam, has failed. So we had one dam fail. There was another dam that almost dam failed, but it didn't dam fail, thank God. It stayed together. So that dam is still damming the water, if you will, in 2 different ways. But this part, yeah, we had a little dam that failed and created quite a lot of water coming down. Also, Asheville, North Carolina is apparently blocked off from outside world right now. Literally, they've had, I guess the flooding has been so bad you cannot get in or out of that city. I'm sure that will dissipate in a reasonable amount of time. I will say there was a couple places in Tennessee when I lived there that were low-lying. And man, when we'd get severe storms, it literally would fill up entire intersections like many feet deep in minutes, really. It was amazing how quickly some of these low-lying areas could get flooded. And again, it didn't take a horribly long time, but eventually, yes, it would dissipate. But yeah, it was just such a mess, and they got a lot of rain out there in Tennessee, East Tennessee at least, and I'm sure the rest of the state gets plenty. I just don't have as much experience with those parts, but yes. So 3 hurricanes may have made landfall in Taylor County in 13 months. I don't know why they say may have made landfall. They did make landfall, but we had Adelia, Debbie, and Helene, all of which have hit that general same part of Florida. Gotta almost wonder about that. Interestingly, I don't know. It's probably it's more over in Atlanta. Sorry. Okay, that's not really interesting. It would have been, but it's not true. All said, 9 major hurricanes in 8 years, and yeah, they are just creaming the Gulf big time. Also, a lot of red states. I don't know if you've caught that too. A little coincidence, I'm sure. Just a quinky dink. Nothing to see here. Don't look here. Yeah, we've got your back, friends. Fed pressure, Border Patrol, whistleblowers, and the line in the sand to turn on O'Keefe. Here's O'Keefe talking about it. This is pretty cool. And the guy's going to stick to his guns, it sounds like, thank God. And thank God for what you're doing, O'Keefe. I appreciate you, brother. I think you won me over with that dance video that one time, I'll be honest. But whatever the case is, dude's doing rock star work.
So we're here on the border east of San Diego, and we got this development here. The Border Patrol agent in the film blowing the whistle, Zach, is getting DM'd by people, feds or whoever they are, trying to get him to turn on me. Listen to this. You might consider reaching out to some of O'Keefe's previous whistleblowers. Watch your back around him. And Zach responded this way: "Sir, I appreciate your concern. At this time, I will be standing beside James to expose child trafficking. I can tell you with certainty he's risked life and limb for this mission. I do not worship him. I worship Jesus Christ. I will be glad to speak to anyone, not for personal gain, but to bring attention to the fact 300,000 children are missing. With all sincerity, God bless you, and the other whistleblowers will be in my prayers." Remarkable turn of events. They're trying to get Zach to turn on me. That's how you know you're over the target. And we have a whole lineup of people that are about to come forward. That's why we're here. We're meeting with them. We're telling their stories. Stay tuned. What's happening inside that facility?
You know what's happening here?
They all protect each other. The NGOs.
They got a spotlight on us.
The federal government. This is dangerous. I don't think we can trust anybody. America, we made it.
I'm the king of the world.
Follow the journey of the immigrants.
I can't do this, guys.
The journey of the children.
Oh, this is big time.
We're in a cartel tunnel now, dog.
We're in a cartel tunnel.
And the journey into human nature. Some things can't be read in a book or a newspaper. They must instead be lived.
There's nobody here to stop this. There's nobody.
Folks, we are at war, and remember, October 7th is coming. There's a lot of people in this country that are suspicious of what sort of activities might happen. I don't think they're going to be able to do as widespread of what they initially were planning. I don't think they've been able to get as many people in here as they wanted, but strong chance we're going to see some craziness coming. So be mindful, be careful, be ready. The Rev. Al Sharpton has defended Mayor Eric Adams after bombshell federal criminal charges and warned that his honor's removal would be a sign of a political double standard. You mean double standard from the fact that they're going after Trump and now they're actually going after one of your own people? Is that what you mean? I'm not sure. I'm curious what the double standard is. Again, I don't know if Adams is guilty. I am questioning whether he is or not. I do know that he was one of the few mayors that came out against the Biden administration of dumping all sorts of illegal people into cities, and they didn't like that. Almost immediately after he came out and said that, he went on a trip. He had to immediately come back from that trip because he was being investigated, his people were being investigated, and that is when this whole thing started. Now, him and two other mayors, which I'm surprised we haven't heard more about them getting in trouble, but maybe they already have. So we are in a potential problem place. Adams should only be judged by the outcome of the potential trial, argued Sharpton during a Friday. I agree with that. Other prominent polls, such as the New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez, were allowed to stay in office while they battled in feds in court, Sharpton noted. He shouldn't be removed, they said. We'll see. I don't know what's going to happen. Again, I think New York's so heavily corrupted, and I'm sure Mayor Eric Adams is not necessarily playing for the American people as much, but he broke ranks. You're not supposed to. It's an example to everybody, but the deep state doesn't really have the power anymore. They used to, so we'll see what happens. Now we've got Cuomo telling New York City power brokers he's running for mayor if the special election is called. Right. Want to replace dirty man with another dirty man who's learned his lesson. See the way the game's played? New York, you guys better do something to fix your own places because, it's a mess. It's a mess, and if you keep doing what you're doing, your city's going to go to shit. That's the important thing to remember. What's also probably going to shit is our economy. We got a lot of things that are happening in this country right now that are not good for business, and they continue to make the same bad choices. Now, they keep lying to us, trying to tell us, no, everything's good, and I hate people like me reminding you that it's not. But I'm going to remind you, if you guys are in a 401k or an IRA, you are tied up in the dollar and you're tied up in stocks. These are two things right now that are getting obliterated by, one, the way the economy and everything's heading, but two, inflation is destroying the value of the dollar, and the Fed just lowered the interest rates. Inflation's definitely continuing to go up. We're not going to hear about it for a month or two or three, but it's already happening, right? The numbers that we're experiencing now, we're not going to hear about for another month or two or three. And of course, they're going to lie about it, and then they're going to have to adjust the numbers anyway. So probably about 3 months before we hear about how bad it is. Here's the difference. You are actually smarter than the average bear. You are ahead of the curve, and you know that what's coming is not going to be pretty. If you want to get out of their 401k system, if you want to get out of their system, and you want to do it tax-free and penalty-free, that means IRS can't come knocking on your door for this. Tax-free, penalty-free, you're out of their system into a system that's actually performing extraordinarily well. There's two assets right now that are positive when you take inflation into account. That's Bitcoin and that's precious metals. Those are the only two assets that are actually performing in the positive numbers when you compare to inflation and when you compare all that together. And right now, precious metals has been up close to 45%. Very good. So all the people that got out already, they're stoked. Here's the thing. We've still got a lot of growth in the precious metals market, unquestionably. The prices have definitely gone up a bunch compared to where it was less than a year ago, 7 months ago. It's gone up a bunch. But here's the thing. When we look back 7 months from right now, when we go ahead in the history, 7 more months, maybe April of next year, around there, I bet we're going to see the prices of gold and silver are going to be significantly up, which means if you get out now or close to it, you've still got a lot of growth baked into this and probably some to go from there on out anyways. Go to drslikesgold.com. drslikesgold.com. Get out of their system, folks. They want you broke. They want you eating bugs. They want you dependent on the governments, on their central bank digital currency or their central bank whatever. That's not for you. That's not for us. Financial freedom is being free from them. And that's what precious metals can help you do. That's protection. It's a wealth protection kit. Get your kit. Go to drslikesgold.com. drslikesgold.com. Get your protection. Learn about it. Let the best company out there help you through this process. They can make it easy. They make it fast as you can possibly do it. and they will answer every single one of your questions. And I recommend you ask many. But also, understand that time isn't necessarily on your side. I'm not trying to rush, but I am trying to state some of the blatant, painful facts that we're living through right now. Staying in their system is definitely not a good place to keep your wealth. You've worked so many years to accrue it. Don't let them destroy that. And just like that, one Black Tuesday or Black Wednesday or Black Thursday or whatever, and all of that can go away. Get out of their system. Move into a system that's actually positive, that you control. DRSlikesGold.com. DRSlikesGold.com. Protect your wealth. Learn about it. Get out of their system. And then you will have that comfort and calm knowing that you're prepared for the storm that's coming. Go to DRSlikesGold.com. DRSlikesGold.com. Get out of their system before they get out of you. All right, bunch of crap with Harris here. We can't trust anything she says, of course. This is just kind of funny, and we always enjoy funny things. At least I do. But this is a bunch of people. What school is this? I forget what school this is. I think it's that Bama or whatever. It's one of those schools. I don't know, whoever the hell it is. But they are, a lot of the students in these colleges are definitely not pro-Kamala. Check it out.
Hello, I'm Tucker Creech. I'm a Sigma Pi at the University of Alabama. And today I'm going to be committing my entire life to fuck Kamala, Trump 2024!
Woohoo! Yay! Love it. Good stuff. Get out of there. We don't need to hear you anymore. There was a few of these videos. They're okay. Reasonable. Here is Mallory Blunt Jaspers. This is College Democrats' tent in the middle of campus at Alabama. Now you can see the red tents, obviously, and then you can see the blue tent with 0 people? Well, one dude that's probably working the tent, like, hey, can you bring in one of them buses? That's right, he's like, hey, Kamala, yeah, we need one of your buses really bad, full of your people, or at least actors, I don't know, whatever, as long as they pretend they like you. Nobody likes Kamala. That's just how it is right now. Here's President Trump arriving at Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa for the Alabama versus Georgia football game, which I guess was a good game, and it seemed like it changed because it's funny, like a lot of people during the game were like, oh, they're killing. I think it's Alabama, I think, was up, and then I think Georgia ended up winning. Maybe I'm backwards on that. I don't really care about either team. No offense to all you guys that are Bama. Yeah, like I totally love all that stuff. College is fun. It's fun to watch. I enjoy. I don't really care. There's not a college team that I give a crap about. Zero college teams. Actually, there's only one pro team I even sort of enjoy watching, and so far we're undefeated. I like that. All said, here is Trump showing up, and here is a lot of people at college that are stoked to see Trump. That'd be pretty fun to be like so rich and like have people want to see you so badly and just be like, all right, I'll take, I don't know, how much food, I'll take it off. Give me all your food right now and just start chucking it out to people. That'd be so fun. That would be fun. I would enjoy that. I think probably enjoy the being rich part a little bit too. That might be kind of fun, but whatever. Happening now in Tuscaloosa, President Trump shown on the Jumbotron at Bryant-Denny Stadium in Alabama. Many are like, Dan, why do you have this in the Harris section? Because Harris sucks so bad, and I just wanted to demonstrate that at college, Harris is losing still. And for all of you that were wondering, how the hell is he going to go to a football game and not die? Oh, they could put him behind a bunch of bulletproof glass like they did there, up in the box seats. It just reminds me of a funny joke. Bobcat Goldthwait, and I forget which stand-up this was from. It was back when he did the stuff everywhere he went. But he was talking about how when the Pope was riding around in his Pope-mobile, this is right after he got shot, the Pope, John Paul II, I think. He was riding around and had all that bulletproof glass in that golf cart that was bulletproof. And he was like talking about how he was blessing everyone, but he's like, does a blessing still count if you're behind like 6 inches of Formica? Maybe he's just blessing himself, going bing, 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 I'm getting holier. Pretty funny bit. All said, kind of similar, right? Is the game still fun to watch when you got like 3-4 inches of bulletproof glass between you and the game? I mean, when you could tell from the angle, it was all like weird looking imagery. So I don't know, it's got to be strange, but it is what it is. If you guys needed a reason to dislike Willie Nelson, I'll give you one. On the road again, they say, to get Kamala and Tim elected and to destroy what's left of his career. You know, it's funny. You guys might remember Willie Nelson was actually busted for tax evasion. You guys remember that? Him and Wesley Snipes. I'm waiting for Wesley to come out in favor of Kamala Harris as well because, you know, it's fun to come out in favor of the IRS and Dick Cheney's party, which is Kamala Harris, right? The IRS and Dick Cheney both love Kamala Harris, and here is Willie Nelson supporting that. Who wants to say Willie Nelson's somebody's bitch, huh? Who wants to say it? I'm going to say it. I think I'll say it. I just said it. Maybe I just did. I think I did. I actually think I said it. Did I say it out loud? Yeah. Oh, apparently I did. Yeah, she just informed me that I did, in fact, say that out loud. Sometimes I don't know. Jim Jordan demands information from the Department of Homeland Security, or Secretary Mayorkas, after stonewalling the Ohio election integrity, which Jordan is from Ohio. And he's just basically talking about how Mayorkas has stonewalled what Secretary LaRose has sent 4 appeals trying to get information about the Biden-Harris administration to grant access to additional databases and yada, yada, yada. So anyway, Jordan's getting involved, trying to push this ball forward. Again, it's just one more place that the stonewalling is occurring and continues to occur and will continue to occur. A Tuscaloosa businessman has purchased and imported truckloads of uninstalled southern border wall sections that he had placed in storage after the large-scale barriers construction was halted in 2021. Quote, President Trump bought the materials, started construction. Vice President Border Czar Kamala Harris and her administration stopped construction and began selling off thousands of truckloads. Last week, I purchased tons and tons of wall panels from a government auction for pennies on the dollar. She's scrapping it out. If she had her way, she'd cut down what's already up. Yeah, this is a lady that's quote-unquote going to fix the border problems, right? And this is the same problem that we have. They want their narrative to win. They don't want the actual facts to come out, and they're tired of people like me or people like Yellowhammer coming out and exposing the nasty stuff that they're actually doing. Donald Trump truthed this. Kamala has allowed more than 13,000 convicted killers into our country. She's not fit to be president. That is for damn sure. Now, here's something just to keep in mind. Right here. I'm going to see if I can pull this picture up. Yeah. So right here is Bryant Stadium, I think is what they said. This is where the Bama game was. The stadium holds 100,000 people-ish. 100,000 people. Now, let's just put some things into perspective. One, there's over 300,000 children missing right now. So, you could fill this stadium 3 times with just children. Just children. And that's how many missing children there are from the smuggling that's happening. You could fill this stadium 3 times with children. And that would be how many children the Kamala Harris administration has allowed into this country that are being child trafficked for working, sexing, and God knows what else. Probably some achrome stuff. We don't know. 3 times you could fill the stadium. But that's not the point of this story. This story was talking about the 6 times you could fill this. If you were talking about how many illegal alien criminals have been released into this country. Over 600,000 criminals with criminal records from other countries that we're not vetting at all. We don't give a shit. We could fill the stadium 6 more times with criminals. I'm sure a bunch of those criminals are part of the child trafficking, but you get the point. That's an insane number of people that shouldn't be here. 6 times you could fill it with illegals. Comrade Kamala Harris, who allowed almost 14,000 murderers to freely and openly roam our country, is now making a speech in Douglas, Arizona, trying to say she did an okay job with the border. She didn't. She is the worst vice president in history and the worst border czar in history, and people are dying every day because of her. She has got blood on her hands. Big time. Probably should get one of those tampons from Walls. Kamala might at least be able to wipe off some of that blood. I know that's not your typical thing you'd use to wipe off blood, but it just felt sort of appropriate. Weird connection, whatever. If we win, and when we win, we're going to prosecute the people that cheat in elections. This is just a warning to everybody out there, even the people on our side of the fence, guys. Cheat in the election, you will go to jail. Even people on our side of the fence. I'm talking to you. If you're thinking about cheating, will they do it? Right. If you cheat, I hope you go to jail. Do not do it. Do not cheat. We will win this legally. Do it the right way. Get out and vote. Every one of you has to vote, self-included. I hate voting. Last president I voted for was Perot, literally. I voted in the last election, by the way, the midterm one. I'm going to vote this time. This will be the first time I voted for president since Ross Perot. I'm going to do it too. I hate voting. I dislike it tremendously. I am going to vote. Everyone has to vote. Everyone. We all do. It's extraordinarily important that every one of us cast a vote. Yes, they're going to try to cheat. Yes, they're going to do a bunch of shenanigans. Yes, yes, yes. But you have to get your vote out there. You must personally cast your vote. If they try to cheat, fine. If they try to do whatever, fine. Make sure you at least did your part. I need honestly 100% of my audience to vote. I know that's not likely, but I need 100% of my audience to vote. All of you guys. Even if you just vote for president. Though, if you're going to go down there, vote for the other stuff too while you're there. Come on. Let's be legit. Or at least the propositions or whatever you guys call them in your place. Right? We got to get out and vote. We have to. And we need to get that vote to Trump. It has to go. Has to happen. Let's make it so. Let's make it happen. Missouri Attorney General sues Biden-Harris Department of Justice to compel release of docs related to illicit Trump prosecutions. Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey filed a lawsuit on Wednesday to compel the Department of Justice to turn over documents related to the illicit prosecutions of former President Trump, including communications between the agency, New York County District Attorney Alvin Bragg, Attorney General of New York Letitz James, and Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis, intentionally saying her name wrong. Missourians have a right to know the facts behind any apparent efforts of government officials to intervene with the 2024 presidential election. To vindicate that right, the Missouri Attorney General's office filed a lawful request for public records under the Freedom of Information Act, but the DOJ has refused to comply. Most transparent administration ever, Biden said. Biden also said he was going to bring us all together, even though he constantly refers to us as extremist MAGA. Yeah, no, they're full of shit, okay? Everybody on the left that believes any of the horse shit that comes out of any left-leaning rag that's out there, just understand they're brainwashed. Don't get mad at them. There's no reason to. It's like being mad at a child for doing something stupid. It's a child. You expect them to do stupid stuff. It sucks. We're trying to teach them how not to do stupid stuff, but they do stupid stuff. It's just what being a child's all about. Same thing. People that are asleep do stupid stuff, say stupid stuff, believe stupid stuff. it takes a lot of courage to step away from the stupid crowd. An enormous amount of courage. And the best thing I find that works for that is being an example. Be an example. Be a kind example. Be a shining example. Be the best example you can be. But do not be a douchehole on the right. It doesn't benefit any of us. You're going to catch way more flies with sugar than you will with vinegar. Or with honey, as they would say. So make sure we're on the right track with this, guys. We've got a fun battle ahead of us. NBC News posted this, so obviously it's not true. Justice Department sues Alabama over efforts to purge voter rolls within 90 days of the election. Apparently it was 84 days, and they decided to purge a bunch of voter rolls, and it wasn't that many people either, which is kind of funny. 3,500 people were registered to vote that had been issued non-citizen identification numbers by the Department of Homeland Security. They're being sued because you're not allowed to make changes to the voter rolls this close to the election. But it's people that are illegal, and that needs to be remedied before the election happens. And here again, you can see, it's not democracy. Democracy is not what the people on the left want. I mean, the people on the left say they want democracy all the time because that's the talking point they've been taught to say. But what democracy means is everyone's vote, everyone's legal vote, I should say, matters. And if your vote's not legal, maybe you're vacationing from another country. Should you be allowed to vote? Now, the Democrats would say it depends. Are they going to vote for us? Yes, they should be allowed to vote. Oh, they're going to vote for Donald Trump? No, they shouldn't be able to vote. And that is exactly how people on the left think about it. It depends who you're going to vote for. And so they overwhelmingly support numbers when it should benefit them. Here's an example. 3,500 people that are not legally able to vote. You're not a legal citizen. You don't have a right to vote in our elections. And you shouldn't, frankly. That's a big part of becoming a legal immigrant. My girlfriend is a legal immigrant. She was stoked when she was finally able to vote. That was a big deal to be able to do that because she was a citizen now. Not an illegal that gets to vote. No, because now you're taking away legal votes. And I go back to the democracy. There's 3,500 people that if they voted would silence 3,500 real votes. And that's what they want to call democracy. Silencing legitimate votes. Why is it okay for them? Because those legitimate votes are not voting for their candidate. So we should silence them. See, they don't really mean democracy. They mean mob rules. They mean their side holds power. That's what they're talking about. They don't give a shit about democracy. They don't give a shit about democracy. They care about power. And they don't care about you. That is how the Democrat Party functions. They call it democracy because it's a pretty word. They don't mean it. They don't give a shit about any of us. They don't care about any of their Democrat people. They use them to get votes. And people are waking up to that. Thank God. Judge bars Arizona official from enforcing disputed election rules. This is pretty awesome. The Secretary of State, Adrienne Fontes, she proposed utterly without precedent and comparing it to nuclear weapons, let me just read this and then it'll explain itself. But yes, Phoenix calling what Secretary of State Adrienne Fontes proposed utterly without precedent and comparing it to a nuclear weapon. A federal judge blocked him from refusing to include a county's vote in the statewide totals if local supervisors fail to certify the election results. This was their way where if for some reason they don't certify the election by the time they claim they're supposed to, then what Secretary of State Adrienne Fontes wanted to do was ignore all of those voters. All of those voters, because democracy is so important. But he knows that the counties that actually would consider holding back their certification are counties that are almost assuredly going to go red. So he's like, F you. You don't get them in on time, your votes don't count. Problem is, the judge said no. U.S. District Court Judge Michael Liberty, he acknowledged that there was at least one attempt in the past by a board supervisor to delay certification. That action threatened to hold up the formal canvases of all the votes throughout the state and to change the outcome of some races. But Liberti said the solution Fontes incorporated into Arizona's election procedures manual, allowing him to skip over uncertified votes simply to finalize the state results, would unfairly and illegally disenfranchise the voters who had cast their ballots. Wait, but I thought you people on the left cared so much about democracy. No, right? You don't give a shit about democracy. You care only about winning. You don't care. You don't care if 75% of your neighborhood doesn't agree with you. So long as you're under the impression that you're in the majority, you'd rather silence that 75% so you can feel good about yourself. Yeah, oh, a little pat on the head. So cute. It's not going to happen, though. It's not going to happen. Y'all are going to lose if you keep up this nonsense. You don't represent democracy. Shut your face. Shut your pie hole. Every time you say that, we roll our eyes because we know you don't. And we know what you mean by democracy. You don't know what you mean by democracy, but we do. And that means control. And that means silencing us. And that means you guys want to take away First Amendment rights so you can continue to politically win. Except your party doesn't care about you either, lefties. They don't like you either. They're just using you. So you go ahead and pass all these laws, and then they're going to silence the First Amendment, and then they're going to start to do stuff that's going to suck for you. And you're going to be like, whoa, wait, I'm going to go out and I'm going to petition this. No, you won't. You won't be allowed to, and they'll put you in jail. But you'll be like, but that's against the law. Oh, now all of a sudden you want rights once you've taken them away from others who are just trying to speak their minds, speak the truth. Here's the thing. If somebody says something crazy, now I'm going to say as an example, and I don't know, you guys, I know there's a lot of you guys out there that believe the Earth's flat. I don't. I think it's not. I think there's a lot of evidence to suggest it's round, but whatever, it's fine. I have one guy that's like hardcore. In fact, I'm never going to talk to him again. I finally blocked him for good again. This is how it happens, right? But they want to push these crazy thoughts, and they don't want anybody to resist it. And if you do, they get mad at you, right? It's the same thing. It's the same situation. It's going to happen to each and every one of us. And the best disinfectant to crazy is to get it out in front of people. Sunlight. If an idea is crazy, it'll get shot down. People will demonstrate. People will prove. People will offer other hypotheses. Instead of just letting everybody run around and go, Earth's flat, Earth's flat. How do you know? Well, because you know it should go out so far, but it actually goes out a little bit further than that. So obviously that proves that the Earth's totally flat. Okay. And then there's single point of light source. I don't know, some guy, that's what he sent me, and I saw it, and I'm like, Jesus, really? This is what you're sending me? Get out of here. So whatever. I don't give a crap. I'm not going to follow all the stuff. I've seen a bunch of the information. Don't agree with it. Whatever. You guys save it. I know it pisses off a bunch of you. It's weird how the flat Earth thing works. And frankly, it doesn't matter in my opinion, unless I'm trying to circumnavigate the globe or go to Antarctica or, I don't know, maybe go to the moon or Mars or whatever. Yeah, then it matters, right? Then it's going to be like, all right, I hope they're not right, because if they are, I'm probably going to bump into this thing and then die. Or I'll end up on the moon and they'll be like, oh, you bastards, you lied to me. And they'll be like, they won't know because I'm on the moon and they're not, right? Whatever. This isn't the first time that the Pelosi's have been caught in an insider trading scandal involving Visa. Watch Nancy come unglued in a 60 Minutes piece, and this is back in 2011 when they asked her about her shady Visa stock trades. Yeah, why is this criminal still in Congress? That's a very good question to consider. But here is Nancy Pelosi back in 2011 talking about her Visa trades.
Congresswoman Pelosi also declined our request for an interview, but agreed to call on us if we attended a news conference.
Madam Leader, I wanted to ask you why you and your husband, back in March of 2008, accepted and participated in a very large IPO deal from Visa. At a time there was major legislation affecting the credit card companies making its way through the House. And did you consider that to be a conflict of interest?
I don't know what your point is of your question. Is there some point that you want to make with that?
Well, I guess what I'm asking is, do you think it's all right for a speaker to accept a very preferential and favorable stock deal?
Well, we didn't.
And you participated in the IPO.
Well, I have many
and at the time you were
investments,
Speaker of the House. You don't think it was a conflict of interest or had the appearance of a conflict of interest?
It only has the appearance if you decide that you're going to have elaborate on a false premise. but it's not true, and that's that.
I don't understand what part's not true.
Yes, sir. That I would act upon an investment. Yes, sir.
Congresswoman Pelosi pointed out that the tough credit card legislation eventually passed, but it was 2 years later and was initiated in the Senate.
I will hold my record in terms of fighting the credit card companies as a Speaker of the House or as a member of Congress up against anyone's.
And again, she talks about if you're going to say these kinds of things, right? Again, how did they control the narrative? They weren't supposed to ask these questions. That's how they controlled the narrative. This guy probably never got asked another question again after this. That's how they controlled the narrative. It's what the whole thing's always been about. Always, always, always been about. That's democracy, by the way. That's what they're trying to protect. Oregon mom and daughter are indicted for trafficking Haitians in indentured servitude at adult care home. Maria Gertrude Jean Valmont, 66, and Yolandita Marie Andre, 30, are accused of using violence and threats to force their victims to work for long hours for little or no pay. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Look, they're accused of this. I don't know if they're guilty. If they're guilty, that's one thing. I'm going to assume they're innocent until proven guilty. But what I do want to point out that I find to be very interesting is these ladies, though they have somewhat of sort of Hispanic-y kind of sounding names, they do have sort of a dark skin kind of color about them as well. One could almost maybe say they're black. I don't know for sure. But I do find it interesting that someone's a minority and quite possibly black. If they're guilty, don't know for sure. But if they're guilty, well, then they've actually had slaves. Slaves. I wonder if these people in Oregon would have been on the reparations list for people to receive reparations for all the slaves that have happened, yet here's a mom and a daughter that are being indicted for having slaves. Currently, today, forcing people to work for no money or very little money, called indentured servitude. And many could say that's the equivalent of slaves in the past. And then people would say, damn, they didn't pay the slaves in the past. I think some got paid, but they didn't pay the slaves in the past. Did they feed them? Well, that's essentially pay, isn't it? Yes, because you have to feed them. Otherwise, they die and they stop doing work for you. Indentured servitude. Ladies that are accused of keeping Haitians as slaves. Just find that to be ironic. Here's Pompeo talking about the connectivity between the two assassinations. I don't trust Pompeo at all. I know I kind of should, maybe. I don't know. Don't want to. He's CIA, and there was a weird falling out between him and Trump. So I don't trust him as a general rule. He's CIA. Once CIA, always CIA. I like to refer to Jaco oftentimes when I think of this too. I don't trust anybody that's been CIA, especially if you're running around bragging about it. If you're running around bragging about it, you're probably still a CIA person. Otherwise, you're just trying to use it to get people to trust you, in which case you're probably still a CIA person. I don't trust it. Sorry, I'm not trying to rip on people you guys like, but it bugs the shit out of me when people are CIA. CIA has been infiltrating and messing with this entire thing, FBI as well, through this entire movement. And the CIA has been directly involved with it for eons. So I'm not even remotely surprised that there's people that are claiming to be on the good side that are possibly not. Again, I don't know. I got friends that are friends with Jaco. I'm not trying to be a total dick to the dude. And I feel bad because I've seen a lot of his videos where I know he gets attacked a lot. But yeah, like he hates when we say, once CIA, always CIA, man. Sorry, you got the bars really high on you. You got to be like impeccable. And unfortunately, he's on the wrong side of a lot of equations or is frequently putting out, I think, mischievous information. So whatever the case is, it's one of those things we all got to keep tabs on. But here's one of them, and here's them saying stuff, and we're supposed to trust this guy. Whatever.
Is here now. So very different meetings between Trump and Zelensky and Kamala and Zelensky. How did you interpret that?
Yes, Jesse, very, very different meetings. In one case, he was meeting with a vice president who was in charge when tens of thousands of people of Zelensky's people in Ukraine were killed. And the other president had deterred Vladimir Putin for 4 years. So there's very, very different meetings because the United States of America stood strong. We were capable of deterring Vladimir Putin in spite of the fact that CNN and The Washington Post talked about President Trump as being a Russian puppet. The Russia hoax was in full throttle when the perfect phone call took place. I was on that call, Jesse. The difference couldn't be more stark. The outcome will be very different, too. With President Trump in office, we will achieve peace. We will get a good outcome for the Ukrainian people. And Vladimir Putin will again be deterred from the aggression that we've seen these last 2.5, almost 3 years now.
So it's chaos now. Iranians are hacking the Trump campaign. They're feeding it to the Biden people. They're feeding it to Kamala Harris. They're feeding it to the media. Some in the media are leaking what's being put out there. And the Iranians are trying to kill you. They're trying to kill Trump. Biden's protecting the Iranians at the UN while they're trying to kill you, while they're trying to kill Trump. What the hell is going on here?
It's crazy. I was in New York for part of this week, Jesse, and the State Department, diplomatic security, was protecting the president of Iran who was trying to kill me, who I've got State Department protection too. Bizarre, lunacy, for sure. Look, this is American weakness. It is a model that apologizes for the greatness of our nation and doesn't put America first. We need a change in leadership, and when we do, we'll have less risk in the Middle East. We didn't have wars there. We had the Abraham Accords. We had peace. We'll have less risk in Europe, and we'll confront the Chinese Communist Party. We'll get our border secure. Those are the things that American leaders can do, and Vice President Harris has steadfastly refused to do any of them.
And you used to be the director of the Central Intelligence Agency. I know we introduced you as Secretary of State Pompeo, but so you know how these things work. They've now tried to kill Trump twice, these wacky people. We don't know much about them, except one guy was in Ukraine for a while. The other guy's like a black hole. What does your gut tell you is going on here?
The less we learn, the less we're told, the more I have concerns that there's real connectivity to someone just behind just a random guy. They need to tell the American people everything they know about connectivity, whether that's international or others working here inside the United States. We still have a lot of questions, Jesse, and I worry about this when our Secret Service can't protect our president and then the FBI and Justice Department won't.
So, again, like Jaco and Pompeo, I hope they're on our side. I think they are. I hope they are. But there are definitely times where I question it. Who knows? Again, I like to just, certain people I keep under check. That's just how it is. Like, they're scrutinized on everything they say, and they should be. Keep tabs on him. Keep tabs on all these people. Just make sure, hold them to the grill, hold them to the fire. Pay very close attention to them. When they stray into weird waters, that counts for something. Don't just think it's an accident. They should do it very infrequently, if they do it at all, and hopefully they don't do it at all. And the other thing, I've been saying this for a while, it really looks like Pompeo's lost a lot of weight. I don't know what's going on with that. To me, it looks kind of sickly. It looks very skinny in the face, or it's a whole different person, whatever. But yeah, we got some weird stuff going on. And yes, obviously these two assassins are tied to the deep state, and there is connections there. And how they connect and how those threads come together will be interesting if we ever find out about it. The Wisconsin Supreme Court ruled Friday that Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s name will remain on the state's presidential ballot, upholding a lower court's ruling that candidates can only be removed from the ballot if they die. It's cool. Is what it is. I'm honest, I don't know. It doesn't bug me. Maybe it's supposed to. I know it's supposed to. Everyone says it should totally bug you because he's going to take votes from Trump. I don't think he will. I think he's going to take more votes from Harris. I think he's totally going to take more votes from Harris. I think the Trump people already know that he's on the Trump train, so they're not going to waste a vote on him. They're going to vote for Trump, which brings R.F. Kennedy Jr. into the place that R.F. Kennedy Jr. will shine. I don't know if he would have been a great, great president, but being in charge of making sure we're healthy and healthy in our schools, oh, dude, the guy's a rock star, and that's what he loves, and that's what that's what John F. Kennedy Jr. was about, right? So that's kind of what we're hoping for. We'll see. We'll see how that plays out. Supreme Court on Friday denied independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s attempt to reinstate his name on the New York ballot, though. They wouldn't let him do that. They won't take him off Wisconsin and a couple other, I think one or two other states, but they won't put him back on New York. So again, this is one of those places where I think he was hoping to mess with their vote. I was fine with that too. Wait, Dan, but that's not democracy. You're not supporting democracy. Again, the only time they ever say that's when it goes against what they're trying to do with their mob rules. And by the way, their mob is not very big, guys. It's not very big. I don't even think they have as big a mob in New York and LA as they think they have. I don't think so. I think their mob is surprisingly smaller than they would ever admit to in public. This was posted. Do you think they regret kicking J.D. Vance out of their restaurant yet? I don't know if you guys heard the story. There's a place called Primanti Brothers Restaurant. J.D. Vance showed up there specifically, of all places, to have some food and to give some publicity. And what did they do? Well, they kicked him out and said, we won't serve your kind. We don't like your politics. And, of course, they have a right to refuse service to anybody. But the problem is, well, they've gotten hammered online and in Yelp like they should be. Primanti Brothers Restaurant and Bar. Now, I'm sure a lot of people will be kicked out of trying to make any sort of comments against this restaurant. I'm sure Yelp has probably shut it down to some degree, or requires pictures or proof or a picture of a receipt that shows you were there. So don't necessarily try to ruin this restaurant unless it's someplace you've been before, in which case feel free, do whatever you'd like. I can't control you. I'm not your keeper. But we've got people that are talking about un-American. When you have millions of restaurants, you can pick who would happily support the majority American family and their need to eat. They decided if they serve you based on your politics. Very strange place. It's a shame because I've seen I don't even know what that word is, seemed this establishment on many dining shows. It doesn't sound like, well, that's what they meant. I think seen, but an M and an N. I don't know. I can't read it. It's really small. But anyway, yeah, they wanted to check it out, but they refused service to someone based solely on politics. That's really messed up. That really is. So bad on you, Primanti Brothers, and bad on anybody business out there, frankly, that gets into the politics of stuff. Fortunately, my business is kind of politics, but if I had a storefront kind of business, much like my spiritual channel, which, by the way, I just did a show on Saturday, good stuff. Every week now I'm trying to do a Saturday video. But even on that channel, and that was always the thing, I always told people, because they were asking when Trump was first being elected, oh, what do you think of Trump? I'm like, I don't talk politics on this channel, and I don't. And I didn't like Trump, but I was very conservative as far as politically. I knew that. That wasn't a big surprise. But I was like, I don't talk about that on this channel. This channel's not about politics. I don't talk about politics on this channel, and I'm never going to. That's not what it's for. It's meant to help people manifest. It's really fun. It's cool. That's what it's a beautiful spiritual thing. Like, no need for that. There's places where you should just stay the fudge out of politics. It's good for business to stay the fudge out of politics. Right, Taylor Swift? Huh? Sweetheart? How many album sales have you lost because of it? Now, again, you're a billionaire. You don't care, but yeah, hurts your bottom line big time. You saw it. She saw the change. Same thing. You go woke, you go broke. If you come against us, you will pay the price. There are way more of us than there are of you. You guys have a misunderstood idea based off of your democracy of what's really going on and how people really feel. The media has made it sound like everybody agrees with this crazy left-leaning ideology, when the truth of it is, hardly anyone does. It is a very small number of people. So Primanti Brothers, you might be bankrupt, buddy, because I don't know if there's enough of you left-leaning people out there to keep this restaurant afloat. And if you're left-leaning and for some stupid reason listening to my show, well, you better make sure you go to Primanti Brothers a bunch, because they need your help. That's what is happening there. Got some fun stuff with Trump. Another massive blow to the Harris campaign efforts in Michigan. One of the country's most popular Muslim, Imam Imran, has just endorsed President Trump after this morning's meeting with President Trump's senior advisor, Dr. Massad Bulus. We are going to play that in just a second. But man, why does Imam Imran, I don't know if there's a difference between, I feel like it's Nasara Jassara. I feel like it's these two crazy-ass words stuck next to each other. I don't know what either of them really mean. I know a bunch of you guys do, but I don't. I don't care. I don't follow any of it. Imran, Enron, I don't know, whatever. This is pretty cool, though. This is pretty cool.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu, my beloved brothers and sisters in Islam and my brothers and sisters in humanity. I would like to let you all know that alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, I had a wonderful meeting with Dr. Massad Bulus, who is an advisor to President, or future President, hopefully, Donald J. Trump himself. And I was able to speak about real policy and real change for the future and what that would look like in engaging the Republican Party. And because of the wonderful and productive nature of these conversations and what I hope to see in the future, I would like to publicly endorse in my personal capacity as the first Muslim Palestinian Imam in America to publicly endorse Donald J. Trump for presidency. Please go out and vote for Donald J. Trump. He is the leader that we need to be engaging with and we need to be building with for a better America and for a better world. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I don't know what you're saying, man, but it sounds pretty cool, the English parts anyway. But yeah, and I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm sorry. It's just what we do, and it's probably very disrespectful. Not trying to be disrespectful, just being me, unfortunately. Hi, welcome. I'm Dan. Nice to meet you. That's it. Powerful. We got people from all walks crossing the aisle, folks. Crossing the aisle from all walks. And it's a beautiful thing. Here's Donald Trump talking about Joe Biden being impaired because he became that way. Kamala, not sure if she's got an excuse.
Joe Biden became mentally impaired. Kamala was born that way. Yeah. She was born that way. And if you think about it, only a mentally disabled person could have allowed this to happen to our country. Anybody would know this.
Now, again, I get what Trump's saying. It's just an easier way to go about it, too, and it's kind of more fun. So let's not get lost in the weeds. And it was that Brett Weinstein or whatever the dude's name is. It's been on Joe Rogan a bunch. I kind of started following him a little bit. I like him. He's really, really intelligent, and he's very center, probably center-left, but he's pretty pissed off with what the left is doing right now, too. And so I like hearing opinions from people, one, that are very intelligent, that really think through problems. It just matters, not that are logically coming from the problem rather than emotionally coming from the problem, because very, very different experiences altogether. But it's unquestionable that Kamala's sold out this country. Unquestionable. Whether she's intelligent or an idiot, she's definitely doing what the deep state they're bidding, and it's pretty messed up. Now, this is funny. Is once again, CNN, every once in a while, they do something kind of cool. Every once in a while. Most of the time, they suck balls. So here's an example of them sucking balls. CNN, I think I pissed somebody off when I said sucking balls, but I qualified back then that it was with a Z, balls with a Z. That's not the same thing. So, come on. It is what it is, though. CNN host who compared Trump to Nazis says Melania should take back her dangerous accusation that the mainstream media is fueling political violence. Ms. Trump is mistaken. Political violence is not the fault of the mainstream media, and I wish she would take back this false and dangerous accusation. Amanpour herself has accused Donald Trump of engaging in Nazi talk, per a report from The Hill, as well as equating what she called Trump's modern-day assault on knowledge, history, and truth to the Kristallnacht, which was where Nazis torched synagogues, Jewish homes, as well as murdered close to 100 Jews in 1938. And yet, the media is not negative at all, not pushing violence at all. It's funny as hell to me. So it is one of those things where anybody that's still asleep is told over and over, it's not you guys, it's them. Every one of them. And they believe it. And this is where like I've said, I've a lot of people, I know a lot of people, this is why I teach teachers. Here's the true reason, guys. This is probably the main reason I teach teachers. One, because I don't like wasting time. There's just too many not teachers, and it's just stupid how long it takes to deal with all of them. And they come from so many varying walks of life. But teaching teachers are already somewhat awakened, somewhat with it, someone asking the right questions, and it's like, all right, I can work with this, and they're going to ripple to all sorts of people. So it's more effective. It's kind of like in the concept of making videos. This is good advice for all of you guys out there, okay? There's a few different ways that you can get in touch with people or people get in touch with you, okay? I'm going to go backwards because there's comments, all right? And comments, well, no, we'll start with emails, okay? There's emails. You can email or direct message somebody, all right? Like me. So there's a couple of you guys that occasionally direct message me on like Twitter, and I don't necessarily like it, by the way. I'm not on any of these platforms to have direct communications with people, and I honestly consider direct communications for the most part to be kind of ineffective. It's an ineffective way of communicating because I'm only talking to one person, and I'm spending time to do that. Now, if I'm going to spend 5 minutes to talk to one person, I'm making numbers a little long because usually it doesn't take that much, or I could spend, say, 5 minutes making a comment Well, that's a comment that hundreds will see, thousands maybe, who knows, depends on the channel. Or I could spend 5 minutes making a video, and that's where thousands and thousands of people can experience it. So it is funny how these games get played and how messages get shared and how so many of us are kind of, we've got to expand. We got to think bigger. We got to think larger when it comes to making the ripples. You can't get stuck into these one-on-one conversations as much as trying to talk to 2 or 3 people at a time. 4 people, 10 people. Get in the comments. Say things that make sense. Talk to somebody, but then look at other people to try to involve them in conversations. I don't know if you've ever done that before where you're talking to somebody, but other people are kind of paying attention and you notice. Look at them. Engage them with eye contact and include them in the conversation. This is a chance to spread it. So I work with teachers because it's way more effective than trying to deal with each individual person who's still got a long ways to go. There's a lot of wonderful books that people can read. There's a lot of things they can look into themselves to try to expand. So ask those questions if you're somebody on the earlier levels, because that's what this is all about, is evolving. I can't state it enough. Again, like I've told people, I'm just ahead of my time right now. And it's literally like, I think what I'm here to do is going to be much more apparent. You guys are going to be like, I've been with Dan since the very beginning, and I'm going to friggin' love it. And there's going to be a bunch of you I'm going to recognize the names of and stuff, right? But ultimately, what I'm actually going to be famous for is not quite yet here. It's coming. I'm just, I think, proving myself to most of you guys and gaining a reputation, hopefully, of being crass and crude and somewhat funny and pretty solid on the information. Notice in this case, dozens of other, let's see, Mike Pence is saying this, and I'm going to jack it up. The National Science Foundation. Okay, so DARPA is the government arm, the deep state government-y arm. They've controlled and created a lot of the technologies we exist, like the internet, for example, literally. And the National Science Foundation, which you've probably heard of, that's actually DARPA's arm against us, or with us, the populace, the non-military version of their technology. So they create it in DARPA, they push it into the National Science Foundation to be able to get it to the rest of us, where things like cell phones and internet and stuff, and they talk about this. It's a really good little 3.5 minutes. I think you guys will dig it. He was on Tucker Carlson, and he was talking about this, and I think it's definitely worth hearing.
The National Science Foundation is probably the main funding artery for most of the censorship ecosystem in the United States. Now, this comes from a million places.
Wait, the what?
I know, it sounds crazy, but listen. The National Science Foundation is the civilian arm of DARPA. It is, and it has been.
For those who aren't from DC, will you explain what DARPA is?
DARPA is the Pentagon's brain. DARPA is the reason that we have the internet. You know, DARPA, the internet started as a military technology to be able to send and receive information digitally, because the Pentagon manages, it's the largest employer in the United States. The Pentagon manages the American empire. When after World War II, we had this yawning empire stretching from here to, to Latin America, to Europe under the Marshall Plan, and all the way out to the Philippines and Asia. We had this worldwide empire. We had to manage all these counterinsurgency threats, all the domestic populations that were opposed to U.S. hegemony over their own lands. And so the Pentagon had to be extremely versed in all the regions, understand what was happening politically, what was happening culturally. And so the Pentagon farmed out to U.S. universities. This is a part of why so much of U.S. universities, so much work is funded by the Defense Department and is funded by the National Science Foundation. It's civilian arm. In fact, the National Science Foundation is the leading subsidizer of all. It's the leading source of funding for all higher education funds. I'm not even, like, people think we have a private higher education market. We don't. It's subsidized by the U.S. government, and that is a quid pro quo.
But through DOD.
Through DOD and through the National Science Foundation, which is the civilian, but the National Science Foundation, and even the story of the internet, again, it was created by the U.S. military, and it was turned over to the National Science Foundation, and that's where the dual use comes in. When the military developed the cell phone, the military developed GPS, the military developed most of the technology at the R&D level that we now live under. In fact, the military developed all the internet anonymity software in order to help Pentagon and CIA and State Department-backed political groups be able to orchestrate regime change. The VPNs, the Tor network, end-to-end encrypted chat, all these things were Pentagon projects before they became dual use, just like the internet became dual use. It was a military project, but then then the civilian commercial architecture was built on top of it. But the National Science Foundation has two major domestic censorship programs. And in the charter documents establishing one of them in 2021, when, in February 2021, right when the month after Biden took office, this is a $40 million program. And in the charter document, it says that the purpose is to stop misinformation about democratic institutions. And one of the democratic institutions they define is the media. So understand this. This is the Pentagon civilian arm funding $40 million worth of censorship, exclusively censorship institutions to stop Americans from delegitimizing the media.
So you guys remember John Kerry's speech at the beginning of this video? Is it hopefully making sense? This is what they've been doing forever. This goes back hundreds and hundreds of years. We had our moments of clarity, Revolutionary War, still probably levels of corruption that were kind of already in a lot of places, but the federal government was at least somewhat codified in a new way, a new hope, as the Star Wars Episode 4 or the original Star Wars kind of talked about. But this is how and what's always been. Judges consider undoing lawfare damage. This is the appeal for Donald Trump's real estate thing. The whole Engeron, I think it is, charging him $454 million or whatever the hell. Pretty much all the judges asked tough questions against. They did ask some tough questions for as well. But experts, we'll see. I don't like getting ahead of it. I just kind of like to see it happen, but I at least wanted to bring it up that we're getting close to the first step. Now, will the government once again appeal this to the Supreme Court? Possibly, and that would be cool. But it's looking very much like the appellate court is probably going to kick this one back to the curb on a number of different levels. Like, there's so many things wrong with this case, and we've talked about most of them ad nauseum. Certainly anybody that you've watched, if you've been interested in this topic, you've probably already seen all the information that's really out there. Yeah, it's a freaking stupid train wreck that's happening, and we're getting to watch it. It's pretty fun. Truth Social co-founders sell $100 million of their shares in the company. You guys remember the story where there was a delay in creating Truth Social and getting the stock on the stock market, and then there was a lawsuit internally, and there was discussions of not paying the people and yada yada. Well, those people, same exact people that Trump has a problem with, let's call a spade, and they were going to get stock options based off of doing their job, but they did their job so poorly, and Trump was very upset about that, and I, for the most part, think he probably lost the cases, and we didn't really hear much about it, and I'm sure they had some non-disclosures that were signed. These individuals, specifically, the ones that were directly involved with the complaint from Trump, the individuals directly involved with the complaint to Trump sold their stock as quickly as they could, and they got out. So now I think Trump owns an overwhelming majority of the shares. They sell them to other people, but that splits it all up. So it's not single owners owning good chunks of the company. It's now many, many people owning chunks of the company. In the big picture, probably better, but that's who these people were. Of course, ABC News makes it sound like it's, some calamity or whatever, but we're to ashes, dust to dust. All the pot's been smoked. This bowl is a bust. That's what we used to say when I was younger. But essentially, same thing, right? They get rid of them. Goodwill. The good riddance. Get the F out. GTFO. Don't let the door hit you in the butt. I don't know. Whatever. Choose your phrase. Take a long walk off a short pier. Is there other good ones? I can't think of anything that comes to mind. I think it's pretty much what I know. Here's the thing, guys. MyPillow.com/OTF. Just great products, of course. MyPillow.com/OTF. Mike Lindell, just a good guy. First off, he helps a lot of people get off drugs. I don't know if a lot of you guys know that. He literally does it for free. Like, the dude's just awesome. He's had a troubled life, and that's one of the things I love about him. Definitely. I think it's one of my favorite things, actually, about Mike Lindell is that he's real. He's a real dude. He's a flawed, sinned individual like me, like a bunch of us, So many people, especially when you get into the public eye, like there's this weird impression that you're supposed to be perfect or you're supposed to be a saint. Dan, if you're talking spiritual stuff, you're supposed to be saintly. I 100% disagree. I think you should make lots of mistakes along life. Shouldn't make the same one over and over. That's called stupidity, but you should, or insanity, but you should actually make mistakes. In fact, I was talking to a very successful friend of mine. He was the second in command at a huge technology company that is worldwide. He's part of the North American side of it, but dude was extraordinarily far up the food chain. He's a wonderful individual. We've had our moments for sure, but I love him dearly. And yeah, he's the same way. Like we make mistakes, and he was talking about that this morning to the smaller group that we were hanging out with. He goes, I think that's one of the things that I bring to the table is what he was saying, is I've made so many mistakes, and it's made him a better person and made him really good in the corporate world because you learn through mistakes. But a lot of us are afraid to make mistakes, and we judge others that do, and it's just kind of weird. It's funny. It's like you never make mistakes. You have no idea what the hell you're talking about. This is why you've got nothing. This is why you're literally making minimum wage right now, and you got 14 kids, and your wife hates you, and like you're just like, dude, it's easy fix. Pull your head out of your ass. Stop it. So Mike Lindell's a real person. Long story to get to it. I like that. They got great products, amazing products. And unfortunately, or fortunately for you guys, the big box store that he, again, had to deal with, and this is like he's been kicked out of a bunch of them, but he still had a few of the box stores that he was in. And he was, I think, trying to get back into some of them. And apparently one of them got crap from somebody and said, sorry, Mike, we got to kick your ass out. And so they did. And because of that, he's got a bunch of the MyPillows. They made a crap ton of them. They made a whole bunch of them to ship to these guys, and then they screwed them, and now he's got to get rid of them. And I'll tell you what, this pillow is the pillow that made the difference for me. So I'm going to spend the time for it because I think it's worth it, assuming I can actually find it quick enough. But I'm going to go ahead and play this because I think Mike Lindell nailed it when he made this pillow. The new one, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to say it right now. Just at the moment, I don't like it as much. It's okay. It's okay. It reminds me of pillows I've had. It's got the cool outer comfort. I know a lot of people love it. I don't think it even touches this pillow. This pillow is significantly less expensive, and I just think way better. It is an incredible pillow. It bummed me out when they went to this. I'm going to be totally honest, guys. I love everything else on this. This is the one product that made this. This is when my numbers started to change on this particular advertiser because of this pillow. I got like 4 of them. I got 2 king ones and I got 2 queen ones. And I love this pillow way more. I love it. $14.88. You can get up to 10 of them. I think it's the best damn pillow you're ever going to use, literally. Now, I also believe that about their towels. I also believe that about their sheets. The only product I don't like is this one. They're doing buy one, get one. It's the only product. It's not that I don't like it. It's that you made it perfect, and then you're like, all right, we're going to make it better. And you didn't. It was perfect. And then you made another one, and it's not the same thing. This was perfect. This is not. This is perfect. If they could somehow put the cooling thing on this pillow, that might be cool. I don't know. I'd throw that at you, Mike. How about that? Make this pillow with the cooling stuff. Boom. Call it the 1.1. I don't know. Make it cool. But whatever the case is, they've got incredible stuff. They're doing awesome sales, free shipping, anything over $75. You can get up to 10 of these pillows. By the way, if you've got a few bedrooms in your house, I just highly recommend them. This is a great, great pillow. If not, try it and tell me I'm a nut job or, dude, you're right. You're on the money, Dan. They got towels all over the place, blankets all over the place, $25. Pillows of every friggin' kind you could possibly want, $25. Dog beds, $25. All sorts of incredible products. Go to mypillow.com/OTF. That's mypillow.com/OTF. Get the best night of sleep you have ever had. All right, Rep. Gosar introducing groundbreaking bill to end Big Pharma's liability shield for vaccine injuries. This story is, I think, leading us in a direction that's actually not the problem, which is kind of funny. So I wanted to cover that if you guys will let me. This legislation that seeks to strip vaccine manufacturers of the immunity they have enjoyed for decades, leaving countless victims of vaccine injuries without legal recourse. Now, here's why I'm going to say I 100% agree with what he's doing. Okay, so I think this is a tricky thing. If the vaccine was actually R&D'd by the vaccine company, then totally. Yeah, you should go after them. But if the vaccine was created by CDC or NIH, I forget which one of those two creates the patent and owns the patent, and Fauci's name was on those, Fauci made gazillions of dollars off of these vaccines. Why? Because they created the vaccine. CDC, NIH, they created the vaccine. The vaccine was patented by them. And what this is you've got a prototype you built as an inventor. And then you find somebody that can build them for you because, frankly, you can only make one of them. It took you a month to make one, and you're like, I need to be able to make these in like one a day. So you find a manufacturer that can do it. You give them blueprints, they can build it, and they send you a prototype, and you're like, damn, sweet, that's awesome, perfect, boom, let's do this. That's what vaccine companies are. That's what the drug companies are. They make drugs. They mix chemicals together, and then it spits out a pill or a liquid or whatever the hell. That's what they manufacture drugs. That's what vaccine companies, that we've called them, do. That's what they do. They manufacture drugs. The patent was owned by CDC, NIH. So why do we sue the manufacturer? It's not their fault. They didn't invent it. Somebody's asking them or telling them to make this so I can give it, sell it, force it, whatever, to others. It's not the vaccine company's fault. It's like suing the weapon manufacturer for the problem. Or, frankly, suing Pepsi for obesity. Suing McDonald's for obesity. Now, if McDonald's was touting themselves as healthy, sure, but they don't. They don't say that anywhere. So this is one of those things where I feel like they're getting us to lean in a direction that we shouldn't really be leaning. We should be paying different attention. We should not look at the hand they're shaking in front of us, but actually look at the other hand, because that's the one that's doing the weird magic stuff right now. England's chief medical officer admits we may have overstated the danger of COVID. So Elon Musk will have to pay an additional 10.3 million race or 1.9 million regular American dollars to reinstate the social media platform X in Brazil, according to Supreme Court ruling. Penalty was ordered by the top court. I'm wondering what he's going to do. I'm wondering what he's going to do. I think what he's going to do is stay out of there so they can't do anything to him anymore. They can't get any more money out of him legally in any way, shape, or form. They've fleeced him as much as they can. And anybody that exists in Brazil knows that if they want to figure out how to get on X, then they got to do it through a VPN. And here's the thing. You don't need everybody in the country to be able to do it. You only need a bunch of people in the country to be able to do it. And I mean a small percentage, but that's a bunch. And if they can do it, well, they can spread information, can't they? So I'm not worried about it. And I don't know, I'm curious to see what Musk does. It's not a lot of money to stay in business. It's a huge, I think there's damn close to, 750 million people that live in Brazil? Something to that effect. It's a pretty big, populous country. So hard to say. Far right won a big election in Austria, I guess. And this is the far right, though. It's funny because they talk about the conservative party that just got beat up on. But I think the conservative party is actually what our Democrat Party used to be, right? And then you've got the radically, Green Party and extreme left parties, even further left than them. But I think it's the way Europe kind of breaks down their party system. And they actually call, like, the regular old-fashioned liberals that were sort of left, center-left kind of people, they call them conservatives. Yeah, it's kind of funny. So, yeah, I think the ultra-right party, which I would say is probably like the Republican Party here in the United States. Probably, again, I'm speaking about something I truly don't know about, but I have seen this weird swath of political parties that are like oddly not conservative. Like they're very liberal in their thinking compared to. So I think the ultra-right are the ones that are kind of more like MAGA or whatever the equivalent of that is for Europe. So yeah, the deep state's taken another beat up there as well, which is always fun. All right, let's see. NATO preparing for transport of mass numbers of soldiers because they're preparing for war with Russia. Why? Because they continue to do things that are intentionally escalating the war. What's the point of that? Think about that for a second. You're preparing for something that doesn't have to happen, that Putin keeps saying, we don't have to do this, and NATO's like, looks like we do. It's very strange. Very strange indeed. This is why we shouldn't have these people in charge. Crazy stuff going on in the world as well. There was a FAA contractor in Virginia that was allegedly, and they're saying so far, it hasn't been proven yet, but he's been taken into custody, was spying for Iran. He was actually working for airports, and he was sharing the solar power information but a lot of different information about these airports. Like, he was giving Iran a lot of information, especially around some of the systems, so they could maybe shut down an airport, would be my guess. Certainly, maybe mess with the solar panels that power a lot of the stuff, maybe put some of those things out of business, who knows. But yeah, this dude's been working with the Iranian government. It's kind of a long story getting through all of it, but there's the skinny of it. Netanyahu calls Nasrallah's killing necessary. Says region is at historic turning point after Israeli airstrikes strikes slay the terror chief. So this Nasrallah guy, he was sort of missing in action as of yesterday, has now been confirmed. He is in fact toast. Thinking death on anybody sucks, but this guy was a pretty bad terrorist, so we understand, again, based off what I'm told. I've never met the dude, but yeah, I mean, this looks like a pretty vicious yelling with his finger up in the air saying, or whatever he's saying. So yeah, whatever the case is, I am sure he's a bad guy. I just don't, I don't know. Yeah, they hit hard in Lebanon, hard in Beirut, very, very, very hard. Big booms. And supposedly this dude was in an underground bunker that was underneath 6 apartment buildings. And Israel literally went through the apartment buildings into the underground section and then boom from there, leveled those 6 buildings. I'm sure some people died in them, and it was very, very sad. But Israel's like, we just took out one of the most nasty people on this planet. And yeah, so whoops. Yeah, there's that. Hezbollah is the victor, says Khamenei. Now, Khamenei put this out, and the community notes kind of said, let's see. Community notes decided, we're going to add some context. And they said the entire Hezbollah leadership, including Nasrallah, has been eliminated. So they were kind of correcting Khomeini, who is like, Elon, you must take this post down. You must take these posts down. And he's probably like, no, that's fine. Community notes is correct. You are wrong. And in fact, I think I've got a video or an image coming up next that will demonstrate that. But here's Judge Joe Brown exposing Obama. Why did I put this here? Let's hope this has something to do with Iran. I think it does.
Well, man, why are you attacking somebody black? I said, black people didn't put this up. They didn't have anything to do with this. I heard them planning.
The Obama administration did.
Well, that's it. Obama, what did he do for the black race? Nothing. Question you might ask, who's the richest man to ever be U.S. president? It's not Trump. No. It's Barack Obama. You know how? His adopted father, Lolo Soetoro, was one of the 10, 15 richest men on earth. And when he died, he left a trust fund in Indonesia with 3 equal beneficiaries. Barack Obama, then known as Barry Soetoro because he was adopted, and his 2 siblings. So he has a whole false claim about what his background is. But when he got in the White House, he'd been working for a law firm that represented his daddy. He got lauded by Goldman Sachs, who financed most of his daddy's American investments. He protected British Petroleum when they had the blowout in the Gulf because guess what? His trust fund had heavy investments in BP. So we get through this whole mantra and even affordable care, Obamacare. You know who drafted it? Senior Tennessee Republican Senator Dr. Bill Frist when he was Republican Senate Majority Leader. Why? His family founded Blue Cross, Blue Shield, and most of the HMOs. His family's making a killing. So he retired from the Senate in 2010 when the Obama administration got passed his drafted act from 2003. It's his game. And I don't have any problem with Trump either. I'm looking at lowest black unemployment rate since Lyndon Baines Johnson, more money to historically black colleges and universities at any time since Lyndon Baines Johnson. I mean, more Americans back to work. You know, like, what did you get for the last three? Oh, and then this. You know that joke that they do about George W. Bush feeding Michelle candy? The inside thing on that is it's the same candy he fed her husband when he was 6, 7 years old. See, the Sotoros and the Bushes go back 40-some years.
I don't know why I felt like that belonged there, but at the same time, I don't think I want to edit it out. So, yeah, here's the image I was referring to. This is the military chain of command at the Hezbollah terrorist organization. As you will see, Hassan Nasrallah, he's at the very tippy top. But everybody is, eliminated. Everybody. Nobody on this list is still alive. So, looks like that's not going well. Navy apparently had some ships attacked by a Houthi barrage. Okay. I don't know. It's maybe true. Normally, they were shot towards a ship. I don't think these rockets are that accurate. But whatever the case was, apparently these ships, and they were guided missile destroyers, so it's like what they do is defend themselves from crap like this. But they apparently were able to obviously protect themselves, and none of these missiles or rockets hit them. But I feel like this is more of a, hey, we're supposed to hate everybody over there so we can go to war too. I am not for war. I am about keeping us from going to war. I am certainly about keeping the United States out of additional wars. I'm going to keep having that general push or angle. So just warning everybody, I guess, because I don't think going to war is a good idea for anybody. I'd like to see them all stop. So yeah, that's some of the blowing up stuff over there in Beirut. They just Israel struck again. Don't know who else they're going for now, but they probably took out some more people. China, this is pretty interesting. This is recent news that's kind of come out. I actually have already seen some YouTube videos done, and I was like, holy crap, man, I just saw this story, and there's already people doing stories about it, which is cool. China had a nuclear-powered submarine. It was a new variant they were doing, and it was a smaller one, and it had this interesting X-shaped tail instead of the typical vertical fin and usually a stabilizer thing as well. It had an X-shaped thing, and it was supposed to help its stability, possibly in shallow waters or whatever. So this thing literally was the shipbuilding port. It was in port, and it sank in port. In fact, many are suspicious that it listed or leaned to one side and actually pushed the dock over because the satellite images look like they've changed. Plus, they saw a bunch of cranes trying to lift it out of the water. Literally, China's new submarine sank at port. Now, this is powerful because many people right now are like, China's building more boats than the United States. What people don't understand about subs, certainly ships as well, planes as well, you can have an understanding of how to shape a really smart aircraft. But if you actually haven't generationally gone through or iterated through the evolution to where you understand dogfighting changes, you understand technology changes, metallurgic changes, you understand shapes, you've learned so much that you've become incredible at making stealth and things like that. It's one thing to have stealth coatings and have stealth stuff, but there's more to stealth than that as well. There's a lot that goes into it. So China doesn't have that generational learning. China's really never been in a major war. Now, there's a lot of talk. Oh, you got lots of, sure, but you've never really heavily been to war. You don't have a lot of experience at it. And their submarines are a big part of that. First off, attack subs are woefully unprepared compared to the United States. Sure, they're building things really, really fast, but some of their shit just sinks at port. So China is not as awesome as they claim. Yes, they can mass produce us in a heartbeat, but the quality of the stuff we generally make, even though there's some issues around some of that right now, we've got issues with the steel and stuff in our shipbuilding on the East Coast, but whatever. Let's leave that out for the second. we overall make incredibly better stuff, and our submarines are bar none the best in the world. Russia definitely competes with us. I think we're still above them, and they would possibly even admit it, though they are extraordinarily prepared and practiced at submarine warfare, so thusly they're incredibly good at it, as well as us. I would say they're probably the next best. Britain maybe too, but France, Israel, like there's a lot of people that have subs, but we're like really serious about it. And so is Russia. So again, China's not all of that, but yeah, here's where the sub used to be. I say used to because, I mean, technically it's still sort of there if you take altitude out of the equation, or depth, because it sank. And yeah, many are saying it actually pushed the dock a little bit to the side when it did go down. I don't know if that image is, the image isn't in the story. So whatever, that's kind of a big deal. And just something to keep in mind. Like, again, the deep state, scare. Always keep that in mind. We are the greatest country in the world, and we need to be responsible with that. With great power comes great responsibility. That's where I think a lot of us are growing up. Sean Diddy Combs' sexual assault claims continue. His law firm reports 50 alleged victims, including minors. So yeah, the big group of people are coming out. But see, here's the thing. If any of this actually goes to court, then it's going to become public record to a degree. Whether they try to seal it or whatever, it'll still be public record at some point in the very near future of all the people that are getting called out. The deep state can't allow that. So the question is, folks, how in charge, how much power does the deep state have? And here's one key metric that we'll all be able to judge. If Sean Diddy Combs dies in jail, mysteriously, or whatever they say. If Sean Diddy Combs dies in jail, let's just say that. If he dies at all in jail, any way it happens, then that's the deep state's still got a significant amount of power. If Sean Diddy Combs is able to go through trial and testify, the deep state has next to no power. This will be a major teller for us. So kind of why I think it's not a distraction. I mean, I'm not going to follow all the nuances of it. We'll get some of the key facts for sure, but this is huge. So pay attention to whether he dies or not, and then if he actually gets to trial, we'll be talking about whatever leaks out to the rest of the world. And stuff will definitely leak. Shudder felt by crew on support ships around the time the Titan sub lost contact. They knew something was up. Anyway, there's a part in here how the dude that owned the company was basically telling, like, one of the part owners of this company, that if he has to, he'll buy a politician in order to make this go away, or to make this problem seem less of a problem, or to get around any perceived issues that pop up. Dude, literally, like, I will buy a politician. And I think that's just one of the big things. And so, in my opinion, karma is befalling people that are horrible people. And we're finding out that they're trying to control things that they can no longer control. Folks, we've taken a lot of power away from these people. Taken a lot of power away from them. Powerful stuff. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. Ephesians 6:11. Trump was shot at 6:11, by the way. And here's the thing. A lot of people think about, I got to put my armor on every day. No, you don't. Seriously, guys, I wish you understood that. You just put your armor on once and just leave it on and know you've got it on. You don't put it on every day. What kind of stupid ass shit is that? Seriously. Change your thinking. Seriously, change your thinking. Put the armor on, leave it on. You can read Ephesians 6:11 all day long, every day. That's great. Just realize you've already put on your armor of God. Or at least if you haven't yet, do me a favor, put your armor on. It's time to get serious. One way you can help, too, is spreading word, spreading the truth, spreading just all that good stuff. Really? I kept myself off that long? I think there's times I click the button and it doesn't actually happen. Truththread.shop is where you can get some great stuff to help support the channel, and also a family that helps print these shirts. Kind of a little partnership that I got going on. It's just a great little family, and kind of partnered up. We're trying to make some really wonderful stuff, trying to get some awesome understandings out there for people to to pick up on, while you're standing on the grocery line. So there's a lot of ways you can do that. Go to truththread.shop. Check out all of our cool stuff. Truththread.shop. Got all the Dan Radio style stuff at the top. I had to pay some extra money to make that happen, but it happened. Oh, it's cool. Is that the Jolly Green Giant, or is that that's the big, I forget which one that is. What, the 60? I don't know, whatever the case is. Beautiful helicopter behind my hat. I like that a lot, actually, almost more than a hat. That's sad, but I got a hat right there, folks. That is the hat. You're seeing it in, well, sort of real life. There's an image, and here's a fake image of me on a real image, but here's me. But yeah, The Great Awakening, all sorts of great stuff. You got the baseball shirts, we've got long sleeve, short sleeve, tank tops, all the great stuff. We've got the tumblers. We've also got 9/11 going on. Never forget 9/11, inside job. There's a whole bunch of stuff on the backs of those. We've also got where's your other, here it is. Yeah, the 6/11 Ephesians. Well, actually, both of these have Ephesians 6:11 on them, but this one specifically because Trump was shot at 6/11, but this is the fight, fight, fight shirt, and it talks about the Ephesians 6:11 on the back. And just to give kind of an example of how these sort of work, 9/11's got its own thing. Like, there's a whole, set of, information on the back. So when you're standing in line or when you're someplace or whatever, people are reading this, and you're actually just like a walking billboard kind of, and helping spread the word, if you will. And sometimes it's not actually grease or the bird, because both of those are the word. But in this case, no, there's sometimes other words that we need to share. And in the 5G warfare, of course, which we're all in. So it's also a fun shirt. So we've got a few of those too. So please check it out. Go to truththread.shop, truththread.shop. You're helping the channel, you're helping a family, and you're helping spread the truth. And that's really what the whole point is. We're going to keep fighting, guys, and I'm going to keep fighting right there with you, side by side, shoulder to shoulder. It may be a pain in the ass, but we are doing a lot better than I think most people understand. Keep strong. Be prepared. We're getting close to something. And you can feel it too, I know. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.